Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Welcome to Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham.
Jai Ho.
Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupan Gauri Guru Varga ki jai, Patit Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha. If you don't have the book, we generally have, and let me just double check here, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. He may come a bit late. Okay, a couple minutes or a second late. Let's see. And he generally, very kindly and mercifully, posts the bhajans, or in this case Mangalacharan, in the comment section of the thread. So, okay. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavāśṭa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganam Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganam Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamshra Om Ajnanatimirandharasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudasham Avdarya Madhurya Gunashcha Yuktam Varam Varinyam Purusham Mahantam Nārayaṇam Tvam Shirasham Namami Tridandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Padabjyutaika Hridhi Chaitanya Leela Amrita Sarasaram Nārayaṇam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Gaura Presthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad सत्यचरित्राय स्वश्रितानक्षपाणिने जीवदूते सदर्थाय श्रीनाम प्रेमदायिने नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती इति नामिने श्रीवर्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपार्थये कृष्णसम्बद्धविज्ञान दयिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वलप्रेमाढ्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिदान श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोऽस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनकारिणे रूपानुगमविरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भरसम्बोधे पदम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौराशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगम्बरायते गौराविर्भावभूमे स्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिय वैष्णवः सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकन्थ राधाकन्थ नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुरतोपं मम मन्दं मतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदाम्बोज राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमद श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठानिधिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भे वंशिवततस्थितः कर्षन्तेनुस्वनर्गोपे गोपीनाथ श्रीयस्सुनः वृन्दायै तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियायै केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादाभक्तिनिर्वापनम् श्रेय भैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं विवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनम् सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् हरेर्नाम हरेर्नामैव केवलम् फलो नास्त्येव गतिरन्यथा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. How was it?
I don't know.
Okay. We have a freshly heated mridanga. So let's see how it works out.
I hope it works out good. Okay?
Since it just came off the heater, it'll take a couple minutes to actually acquire its. Okay, there it's nice. Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. Page 359. 359 in our songbook. Is Jiva Pavan Prabhu there? We just double check. Oh, I don't see him there yet. Okay, 359 in our songbook. Otherwise, it's on the Gaudiya Kirtan app. Is Lavangalata there yet? Okay. I think it's also in kksongs.org if you don't have the songbook. Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman 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 Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman Charana Kamala Bhajaman Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman Charana Kamala Bhajaman O Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman O Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman Guru Kripa Vina Nahi Koi Sadhan Bal Guru Kripa Vina Nahi Koi Sadhan Bal Bhajamano Bhaja Anduksha Bhajamano Bhaja Anduksha Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman Militano Hi Esam Durlabh Bhajaman As I was just now singing Jaya Prabhu Pada, I was remembering Srila Gurudev sitting on the bench in, where was that? Marina di Massa? In Italy. And maybe it was across the way from Venice. And there he was laughing because the nature of all transcendental personalities is to always be blissful. And even in the transcendental realm, they laugh all the time. There's also weeping, but there's also laughing. And so Srila Gurudev was laughing because one devotee was chanting Hare Rama, Rama, Ram, and Gurudev was saying Rama, Rama instead of Rama. So there's a difference when you say Rama with the accent on the vowel the first A versus the last A. The first one, according to our Guru Varga, Rama, of course we know that means Ramchandra, we know it means Balarama, we know it means so many things, Nityananda Rama. However, for those who are aspiring to be Rupanuga Vaishnavas, Rama means Radha Rama iti Ramaha. It's Radharaman, that Krishna who is giving pleasure or happiness to Srimati Radhika, who is pleasing all of his devotees. So for those who are exclusive and one-pointed to Krishna, then when they chant Mahamantra, they will see Hare Krishna as Radha Krishna, Hare Rama as Radha Raman, which is Radha Krishna. So Gurudev was explaining that Rama is this Radha Raman, but Rama, this is somebody different. Just where the vowel is expressed, the long vowel versus the short. Uma, Rama, Satya, Shachi, Chandra, Rukmini, Radha, Avatar, Sabe, Amnayavani. All of these personalities, including Rama, all of these personalities are avatars of Srimati Radhika, who is the original Shakti. But Rama is another name for Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, the consort of Sriman Nārāyaṇa. So it's not Hare Rama, it's Rama. And so when I was singing Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada is something many people say, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. But actually it's Prabhupada or Prabhupada. So there's a difference between pad. A pad is... Huh? What? Okay. And da means to give. So you could say it's like a book or something like that. So there's different meanings if we don't follow carefully the vowels.
Maybe you should tell what a pad is.
No, Padyavali, it's also, like the bhajans are also known as pads.
But what do the Indians hear it as?
Oh, in India, pad is the sound which comes if you have too much gas in your belly and it emanates from the rear. So that is the pad. So pad and da means to give. So we should also be aware how, because the locals actually hear it like that, how we are chanting these names. Not Prabhupada, but Jai Prabhupada. Prabhupada or Prabhupada. It makes a difference. Also, as I told previously, Gadadhar versus Gadadhar. So there's some difference. Gada means club, and Gada or Gada, it's even Gadha and Gada. There's so many differentiations, but one will mean one who is holding a donkey, and the other will mean one who is holding a club. So if we make a little endeavor to try to pronounce from the perspective of the pure Vaishnavas, they will understand our meaning. But even Srila Prabhupada, he told the devotees when they were chanting, what was it? Vande Gauru Shri Charanaravindam. He said, I understand your sentiment. It's very nice. But it's not always nice to hear that one's guru is being called a cow. Gauru means cow. So Vande Gauru Shri Charanaravindam versus Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. So if we make a... Where was that?
It was on the shelf in a plastic white bag.
Where?
On the shelf over here. I'm cleaning.
Your shelf?
No, where your stuff is.
Really? Try it. So, Vande Guru Śrī Charanārvindam versus Vande Guru Śrī Charanārvindam. If we make a little endeavor to try to further please Śrī Guru, then we will take more care. So the more care, the more endeavor we make, this is the nature of bhakti and the nature of service, is that one is always endeavoring to better serve the object of their love and affection, to increase the quality of their seva. And because the nature of service, devotional service, is eternal and dynamic, that in all divine personalities is always refining more and more and increasing. As we already told yesterday, Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupada explained that if you think that you have attained something, that you have developed and attained perfection in this way, then there's actually a flaw in your understanding. It means you have not advanced much. But if you are really truly advanced, that you're feeling that I have not learned anything, I don't know anything, I have so much more, this is actually a sign of advancement, if that is really the way it is. And if one really doesn't know anything and feels that they really don't know anything, then that's just simple plain truth. So, yes, you remember that, Jiva Pavana Prabhu, when Śrīla Prabhupada was speaking about that, Vande Guru Śrī. He said, I understand your mood. But if someone doesn't understand, I mean, people used to bring people to our programs simply because, oh my God, they're pronouncing it. Really, it was like that. I asked one, huh?
In Vaishnava.
Yeah. There was one Vaishnava. He would always sit next to myself and Krishna Das Prabhu when we were doing kirtan during Kartik for Gurudev, for the Vaishnavas. And his name is Tamal Krishna Prabhu. So I asked him, because he was like, what is he saying there? What is he saying in our Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra? Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyabari. And I said, what does it sound like to you? And he said, it sounds like he's saying Bosht Achar. And I said, what does that mean in your language? He said, Bosht Achar means bad character. And I said, no, he's saying Paschatya. And he said, oh, because they're Bosht Achar Deshatarine. So for the locals, when they're hearing our mispronunciation, it actually means something very different from what our intention might be. So if we make a little bit of endeavor to try to develop the pronunciation, this is also a sign of our sincerity. It's a sign of our sincerity, that we're not lazy about anything on the path of bhakti. Everything should be more and more refined. The quality of our service, the quality of our pronunciation, the quality of our cleaning, the quality of our Thakurji Seva, the quality of our cooking, the quality of our relationships. Right, who said that? Was it Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Mahārāja?
Yes.
So he said that as one is progressing on the path of devotion, you will notice that everything, every aspect, everything they do will be better and more refined. Sārananda Swami, the disciple of Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupada from Germany. So he said that everything will be better. We will be better children, better parents, better husbands or better wives. Everything will have a different quality to it because we will always be endeavoring to better serve and please Krishna. So ultimately, everyone will be more pleased by that. Who is Ramo? Well, that's the Bengali pronunciation of Rama. Because at the end of all the us, there's a little bit of a rounding. Even in the language, that the mouth is kind of a little bit focused like this. And so everything gets a little owed. And also because of that, the sas turn to sh. Like in Bengal, they don't call my wife Sudevi, they call her Shoe Devi. And I always thought it was funny because it's the Devi, the goddess of the shoes. But that's that pronunciation. And in Orissa, when they say Krishna, but their Sanskrit pronunciation, it might be even more proper. They say Krishna. It's U with a U sound. Krishna.
Didn't Śrīla Prabhupada say Goswāmī? Goswāmī.
Yes.
He didn't say Goswami. He said Goswāmī.
Right, sometimes.
Yes.
So sometimes Srila Prabhupada would also pronounce it in the Bengali language. And he would say Goswami or Goshai. This is a Bengali pronunciation. And then Sanskrit would be Goswami, like that. And also it comes like that in Hindi as well. So, little bits. From one perspective, it doesn't really matter. Krishna accepts the intention. But the proof of intention is that one is always making the endeavor to better please, to better serve, to refine the quality of that service. So I was just remembering Gurudev when he was laughing how the devotee was saying Rama, Rama, like this. And he said Rama is Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, the consort of Nārāyaṇa. So the same way, if we're saying Prabhupada, this is different than Prabhupada. So now we will call out for the mercy of Vaishnavas. Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Daya Koromore, page 46. It is true, though, these days, it's quite heavily pronounced. It's not even a Ramo anymore, it turns to Damo, Hade Damo, like that. But Rama and Ram and Ramo, sometimes it's Ramo, and that's a little bit extreme.
It's strange when Western people do it.
We pick up whatever association we are in, but we should always endeavor to try to please our Gurudev. That is the most important thing. Not to please everyone else, but to please Gurudev. And from that, then everyone else will automatically be pleased, including Krishna himself. So page 46, Sakala Vaishnava Goshai. Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Doya Koro More Dante Trina Dhori Kohe Edino Pamare Sakala Vaishnava Goshai Doya Koro More Dante Trina Dhori Kohe Edino Pamare Shri Guru Charanaya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Shri Guru Charanaya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Pada Padma Pavaya, Gori Guru Dhanya, Pada Padma Pavaya, Gori Guru Dhanya, Tomasa Vara Kuruna Bhine, Iha Pratina, Sheshe Ajogyam Vi Kohino Nishro Toma Sabar Kurunamine Iha Praptina Sheshe Ajogyam Vi Kohino Nishro Vanchakala Pataruha Karuna Sagaro Vanchakala Pataruha Karuna Sagaro Eto Bharasa Thakur ki jai. Rama was a warrior leader among certain tribes on Malaita in the Solomon Islands. Also, sometimes in the word conjugations, we have to be very careful. You know, in the pranam mantra of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, there it says, Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. Apasiddhanta Dvanta means he is destroying everything which is against the true teachings of bhakti, pure bhakti. Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. But when we're saying the pranam mantra, Shiva Shabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripade Krishna Sambandha. Oh gosh. Madhur Yojvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktira Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Namaste Gauravani Shri Murte Dinatarini Rupanuga Virudhapa. So Virudha and then Apa. This kind of blends together. And then we say in the next line, Siddhanta Dvanta Harine. Siddhanta Dvanta Harine. He's not destroying Siddhanta, he's destroying Apasiddhanta. So we also have to be careful, even where we pause and where we breathe, if we want to follow the meaning carefully. So I was thinking, remembering that also. Vishaya Vashana Rupa Chitera Vikar. I have been told by Hindi-speaking personalities that when I sing Hindi bhajans, I sing them in a Bengali accent. I think it's because I was sitting next to Krishna Das and Tamal Krishna for all of those years. So, Gurudev Kripa Korke instead of Karke. So, hence they actually used to have written in our songbook, Goroke, way back in the day, but that's not the proper pronunciation in Hindi. But anyhow. Vishaya Vasana Rupa Chitera Vikar. Vishaya Vasana Rupa Chitera Vikar. Vasana Rupa Chitera Vikar. Amara Vidoye Bhogam Ore Aniva. Amara Vidoye Bhogam Shanti na payido sthano antoroyo dhiro. Shanti na payido sthano antoroyo dhiro. Śrī Rupa Gosvāmī more kripa vitoriya. Śrī Rupa Gosvāmī more kripa vitoriya. Udharive kave yukto vairagyo yorupiya. Udharive kave yukto vairagyo yorupiya. Kave Sanātana Gosvāmī Chāraye Vishwa. Kave Sanātana Gosvāmī Chāraye Vishwa. Nityanande samarpive holiya sadam. Nityanande samarpive holiya sadam. Śrī Jiva Gosvāmī kave Siddhanta solide. Śrī Jiva Gosvāmī kave Siddhanta solide. Nibhaive tarkanalo cheto jahe jwale. Nibhaive tarkanalo cheto jahe jwale. Śrī Chaitanya namo shune udive pulakam. Śrī Chaitanya namo shune udive pulakam. Radha Krishna amrita pane hori boya shoka. Radha Krishna amrita pane hori boya shoka. Kangalero sukangalo durjana he jano. Kangalero sukangalo durjana he jano. Vaishnava charanasho chacheya kinchano. Vaishnava charanasho chacheya kinchano. Jaya Rupa Sanātana, 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 Jaya Rupa Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai, Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī Pad ki jai, Śrī Sat Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Shushitala Jai Chayai Jagata Jurai. Page 58 by Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur. Nitai Pada Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Munitai Padam Kamalam Koti Chandra Shushitala Nitai Pada Kamalam Koti Chandra Shushitala Jai Chaya Jagata Jurai Jai Chaya Jagata Jurai He Nitai Mine Bhai Radha Krishna Pai Tera He Nitai Mine Bhai Radha Krishna Pai Tera Gridha Koli Varuni Tarpa Gridha Koli Varuni Tarpa Se Sambandha Nahi Jai Vritha Janmo Gelo Tar Se Sambandha Nahi Jai Vritha Janmo Gelo Tar Se Pashu Balo Durachar Se Pashu Balo Durachar Nitai Na Horilo Ke Mojino Sansara Sukhe Nitai Na Horilo Ke Mojino Sansara Sukhe Vidya Kule Ikori Veda Vidya Kule Ikori Veda Aham गौर हरि की जय। Gorapahu na bhajiya mainu. Sudevi, should I do that other tune?
What
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorapahu na bhajiya mainu, page 83. Gorapahu a little bit higher. Gorapahu na bhajiya mainu. Gorapahu na bhajiya mainu. Gorapahu na bhajiya mainu. Gorapahu na bhajiya mainu. Karma Vishaya Vishamo Vishamo Satata Khari Vishaya Vishamo Vishamo Satata Khari Gaura Kirtana Rase Nagano Nahoi Gaura Kirtana Rase Nagano Nahoi Navaji Yamai Navaji Yamai Gora Bahu Navaji Yamai Gora Bahu Navaji Yamai Tenuva Acharya Ram Visukapaya Tenuva Acharya Ram Visukapaya Narottamo daso kenu nagelo Mariya Narottamo daso kenu nagelo Mariya Namaji Yamai Namaji Yamai Gora Bahu Namaji Yamai Gora Bahu Namaji Yamai Premaratano dhano helayo harai Premaratano dhano helayo harai Navaji Yamai Navaji Yamai Gora Bahu Navaji Yamai Gora Bahu Navaji Yamai O Sachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Sachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Jai Sachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Gaura He 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 Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Definitely worth reading. By not worshipping my Lord Gaurasundar, I have invited death, and by neglecting the precious jewel of prem, I have lost it. Attending to worthless trifles, I have thrown away my real wealth. I have drowned myself in my misdeeds. Forsaking the association of devotees, I have sported with non-devotees. For this reason, I am being choked by the snare of my own actions. I have constantly drunk the deadly poison of material sense enjoyment, and thus I have not become absorbed in the nectarian mellows of Gaur Kirtan. For what happiness does this life continue? Why doesn't Narottam Das simply die? Very deep and intense prayer. In fact, it is There's a title for it. It is called Akshep. It means regret. And Narottam Das Thakur is showing us how to pray and in what mood to pray. For us, realizing our own condition, how much attachment and attraction we have to the material energy, even after having received so much spiritual inspiration, so much good association, so much attendance to parikramas, reading of Shastra, chanting of Harinam, honoring Mahaprasad and everything, still we are neglecting that precious jewel which has come to us. And instead, here he's saying, I have invited death. Hilaya Harain. So, with all of this mood, he's feeling like this. Vishaya Vishama Visha Satata Kainu. Our Srila Gurudev said, you cannot ask me for poison. Don't ask me to give you poison. I cannot give it to you. If you want poison, then you can go to the market yourself, purchase it yourself, drink it yourself, but don't ask me to give it to you. I cannot do that. And so Narottam Das Thakur here is saying, I have constantly drunk that deadly poison. And because of that, I have not become absorbed in the nectarian mellows of Gaur Kirtan. The other day, when Sudevi was cooking, I was snacking. She doesn't know that. And I think she gave me a bowl of mishti doi, otherwise known as misti dahi. It's like sweetened condensed yogurt, homemade. And so I ate that before lunch. And then when lunchtime came, I had no hunger. Very little. When we are feeling our senses, our eyes, ears, nose, sense of touch, our tongue, our desires, when we're fulfilling them with all material things, then when it comes time for Krishna Bhakti Ras, or the nectar of Krishna Bhakti, we are already full. We have already maximized our capacity at this point, and we have no attraction to that. Maybe a semblance. It's nice, but I'm already full. So one of the reasons one does tapasya, or austerity, is to make room, to make a place, to create a situation where there's a vacuum. Meaning, I need something. Let me not fill it with the mundane. Let me fill it with Krishna Bhakti Rasa. Like Srila Gurudev said, all of your hearts are like broken pots. You've been shattered again and again through so many unlimited lives throughout your sojourn through material existence. And I have come to fix your pot free of charge, and I will fill it with nectar. He said, but no one is coming. No one is coming. So he will fix the pot and he will give the nectar. But we also have to take that, to accept it, and to drink it. But if we're filling ourselves with so many mundane things, then it blocks our capacity. I remember when I was with Krishnakanta Prabhu of Kulashekar. So I needed some software from him for making music. And he said, okay, I can share it with you, no problem. Do you have any hard drive? And I'm like, yeah, I have a hard drive. And I plugged my hard drive into my computer, and it's a 500 gig hard drive, and I was using 496. And the software was 25 gigabytes. So he said, well, you have to make room. And I said, but I don't want to get rid of anything. I don't know. Maybe something in there might be valuable. I don't know. I don't want to get rid of anything. He said, well, if you want this, then you got to get rid of some of that. So it was like that. I couldn't accept what he wanted to give because I was already full of my own stuff, which I felt could be important. But like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, when he went to his Gurudev, Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he told him, everything that you think you know that is valuable in this world, all of your knowledge and your education and your learning and all of these things, all of your ideas of this material world, take it and throw it in the ocean and then come back to me. Meaning it all had no value. When it came to Krishna Bhakti Ras. We all know that we have a certain amount of Mayak attachment. We might be able to see some layers into our closet. Ooh, we got a few skeletons in there. The Sri Guru can see thousands of lifetimes, millions, because Guru is a manifestation of Paramatma standing outside of us. Well, Chaitya Guru manifests externally as Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru to the external senses of the disciple so that he can communicate with him, so that he, through the medium of the senses. This is the meaning of Diksha and Shiksha Guru. It's not just an abstract idea. I'm trying to remember the verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's not coming at the moment. Because the conditioned soul cannot directly perceive the super soul within the heart by the medium of their senses, that super soul, Chaitya Guru in the heart, steps outside, takes a form outside in the form of Diksha and Shiksha Gurus to help us. Jivesha sakshat nahitate guru chaitya rupe. Because we cannot directly perceive the presence of the super soul unless one is already liberated. Then he steps outside to be able to communicate with us. This undoes some of the theories which are being proposed these days, wherein one doesn't really need a guru. They can just kind of do it some roundabout way. Then one is still taking in a passive way, pretending that they have accepted. But our Guru Varga refuses these ideas. Otherwise, every single one of them from the beginning would have done that. You are Krishna's disciple. Since Krishna, Brahma, Narad, Vyas, everyone would have made us Krishna's disciple. Why accept us in their name? It would have been a moot point, right? So until now, we have had Guru Parampara, and now Guru Parampara stops. Our Gurudev, Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja said, anyone who says that there is no pure devotee available in this world, this is an atheistic opinion. Atheistic, because it denies the unlimited, infinite capacity of the mercy of God to be able to reciprocate. In other words, it denies Guru Tattva as a principle. And that in itself denies God's mercy. In other words, denying God. So it becomes some kind of Mayavad or even atheism. Atheism. So Srila Gurudev said it is atheistic. So with filling our senses with all mundane things, then we don't have capacity to accept the transcendental. We don't have capacity to accept that. Because we've already filled ourselves up with the junk food of this material world. Now we have no hunger for Krishna Bhakti Rasa. So our Srila Prabhupada, he writes that without austerity, without tapasya, no one can become successful in the process of Krishna consciousness. And from one perspective, we can say, oh, that's intense austerity, tapasya. But from another perspective, if we know why we're doing it and what our intention is, then tapasya doesn't really feel like an austerity. It actually is a source of excitement. Haven't you ever seen someone pining after their beloved? The kind of austerity they undergo. They don't sleep, they barely eat, constantly making endeavors to try to connect with that person that they're attracted to. They don't even notice their austerity, although it is quite intense at times. Look what Bilva Mangal did, swimming across a raging river in the middle of a thunderstorm, in the middle of the night, taking shelter of what he thought was a log, but was a dead body, climbing up what he thought was a rope, but was actually a snake, to get to her. Sounds like a Lochandas Thakur bhajan. This is intense austerity, but if you have a goal fixed, an aspiration, then you don't feel the austerity because you have a burning greed and nothing can get in its way. Nothing. That is the proof of intense greed. So Narottam Das Thakur is showing us by his own example how he's feeling. And really we should check our own pulses and see, do I really have attraction there? Or do I want everything else of this material world? Do I want my comfort zone? A little bit of Krishna, a little bit of Maya, my comfortable balance in this material world. In this connection, oh, I've already told it many times before, but to try to find a comfortable balance means we're actually not making progress. The first presence of Guru that I recognized in my life, like as a teenager, there was one old Indian man who used to come to the temple every day and definitely Sunday feasts, and I never had spoken with him, but I had seen him for years and years and years. This is when I was younger. And one day, after the Sunday feast kirtan, he said, "Hey, come here, come here." And I went over to him like, why is this guy calling me? I never spoke with him, but I always saw him. He was always doing seva. And he said, in bhakti, don't ever be satisfied. And I looked at him like, what? I said, what do you mean? Bhakti is the most satisfying thing. Of course we should be satisfied. He said, you don't understand. He said, if you are satisfied, it means you are not making progress. Because you're comfortable. You found your goal. So then you're not going to make any more endeavor. If you are satisfied, it means you're not making progress. What is the requirement for progress on the path of bhakti? Tatra lolyam apimulyam ekalam. Only that intense, greedy desire. To have an intense, greedy desire for something means I feel I have not yet attained it. And therefore, all kinds of things need to be let go of so I can run after that. So Narottam Das Thakur is saying, I'm not doing that. What am I doing? I'm just absorbing my mind in material thoughts, drinking the poison of this material world. Why am I even continuing in this world? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? Because that person who is not engaging their Atma, their mind, body, soul, and everything in the service of Krishna. What does Śrīmad Bhagavatam call them? Anyone who knows the answer to this, even if you're in a human form, what does Śrīmad Bhagavatam say? What does our Srila Prabhupada say about those personalities who are just moving in this world but not engaging their energy in the service of Krishna? Definitely you get Rasmalai and 10 burfis for the answer to that question. There's two possible answers. There's the Sanskrit, there's the English, and there's the other version of it. Oh, very Sudevi. I didn't say no Sudevi. Or walking something something. There's two lines there, you gotta fill in the lines. Not Sudevi. Two-legged animals, the Sanskrit for that, you might know. Okay. Anyone else? Chief Pavana Prabhu. Sudevi commented, you can also comment. Any of the Belgium Yatra? Jaya Jaya Sundarananda Kumar. Ah, Dvipada Pashu. Yes, very good. Anjali Ann, Raktambar Prabhu. Dvipada Pashu. And the other one? Now I'm going to fill in the last word of that other one I said. Walking something bodies.
Walking dead.
Sudevi. Hope no one else heard that. Anyone can fill that in? I don't know. I'm just a Buddha. So page 344. Jai Jai Sundar Nanda Kumar. There you go. Braj Kishori Bimal, walking dead bodies. If we're not using our energy for the service of Krishna, then what is the purpose? I'm made to love Krishna. And if I'm not loving and serving Krishna, then, according to Shastra, Mridehamadyam Sulabam Sudolabam Plavam Sukalpam Gurukarnadaram Mayana Kulyena Nabhasvedenitam Kuman Bhavabhim Nataretsa Atmaha. It's no better than one who is a butcher or one who is a killer of their own soul. Yeke Chatma Hano Janaha. Again, it's like suicide of the soul. Just casting your soul back into this cycle of samsara. So whatever opportunity we have with this human form, Manushyamata Nityamapi Turnam Yate Tanapatit Anumityavan Visheshaya Vishaya Kalutra Sarvatasyat. One should utilize every moment for the attainment of perfection with this human form, which is the only medium by which one can actually endeavor for perfection. Until that time when this body can no longer be sustained, one should utilize every moment for the attainment of that perfection and do that thing which they had never done before. It means in any other previous life, what I have not done before, now I should search for that. Search for what? Shri Krishna, reality, the beautiful. Search for that nectar. Jai Yarabu Govinda ki Jai. He's learning Mridanga now. I'm eager. The next time I meet him, he's going to teach me some Mridanga mantras. Again. So page 344, Jai Jai Sundar Nanda Kumar. Jaya Jaya Sundar. Jaya Jaya Sundaro Nanda Kumar. Jaya Jaya Sundaro Nanda Kumar. Nanda Kumar. Nanda Kumar. Nanda Kumar. Jai Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, page 341. Jai Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Shri Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Gokulataruni Mandalamahite Gokulataruni Mandalamahite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Damodarāṣṭakam Varadhana Veshe Damodarāṣṭakam Varadhana Veshe Hari Vishkuta Vrindavitineshe Hari Vishkuta Vrindavitineshe Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Rishabhanudodhi Navashashireke Rishabhanudodhi Navashashireke Lalita Sakhi Guru Ramita Vishakhe Lalita Sakhi Guru Ramita Vishakhe Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Karunam Purumani Karuna Bharite Karunam Purumani Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Gokulataruni Mandalamahite Gokulataruni Mandalamahite Gokulataruni Mandalamahite Gokulataruni Mandalamahite Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Daite Krishna Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Śrīla Gurudev Ki Jai Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Rupan Guru Varga Ki Jai Śrī Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Radha Vinu Bihari Ju Ki Jai Hari Nama Sankirtan Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Oh, got to light the lamp because today we are continuing with remembering the beautiful glories and the teachings of Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And we didn't sing Damodarāṣṭakam today. There's no harm in lighting a lamp. There's one history where there was a mouse or a rat. And somehow, as there's the mature version and the child's version, so I'll tell the children's version. He went into the temple, he was hungry, the fire was just about to go out, but he began eating the ghee, and by that, the flame became bright again. So the Lord accepted it as an offering of a lamp, and this rat gained that sukriti, by which he was able to take a human birth and engage in the process of bhajan, bhakti. So, even lighting a lamp for the Lord is beneficial. Śrī Dāmodara, Śrī Dāmodara ki jai, Radha Ramanaju ki jai. Śrī Radha Vinu Bihari Ju ki jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Shalagram Shila ki jai, Ladu Gopal ki jai, Chotta Chotta Ladu Gopal ki jai. There is a really little one there. In case you might not have noticed, today Thakurji has changed their shringar. So if you hold on, if you hang out with us, maybe we won't go till 9 o'clock Vrindavan time again tonight, but anyhow, then Sudevi will show you close-up darshan of Thakurji. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktāya Tadbhaktāya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namah Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Śrimate Bhaktivedānta Swāminiti Namine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Giring Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashto Tarshata Shri Śrīmad Śrī Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashto Tarshata Shri Śrīmad Śrī Bhaktivedānta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. And also, as we are continuing the glories of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, I'm offering my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of his lotus feet. And to all Vaishnavas past, present, and future, including all of you present with us today, I offer my Dandava Pranam.
Dandava Pranam, dear Vaishnavas, Radhe 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 Sham.
Radhe Radhe
Radhe Sham.
So on the day of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, I thought you were playing a violin. Sudevi is ironing Thakurji's clothes, and she just made this motion to me like this, and I thought she was playing the violin. So this is our third day, remembering the glories and the teachings, the amazing gift of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Our Śrīla Gurudev, Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja, would often speak about him in terms of the words which are present within his pranam mantra. And from that he would highlight so many beautiful, esoteric aspects of the purpose of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada's presence in this world. We've already heard that he is no ordinary personality. He is a transcendental, eternal associate of Shri Radha and Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, descending to this world out of causeless mercy for the benefit of all of these suffering jivas of this world. And by his mercy, by his hard work, by his endeavor, we have received such a beautiful, clean, and pure conception of bhakti. Why am I saying clean and pure? After the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, already by the time Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami wrote Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he mentioned so many, I think 13 upasampradayas at that time. Means those different groups, those different sects or cults which were twisting or deviating from the teachings of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Goswamis. 13. That's a lot already. And then after that time, after the time of the Goswamis, so many more Apasampradayas had sprouted up. Then came Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, re-establishing the principles that the Goswamis of Vrindavan, meaning those who control their senses, who are completely pure. I'm talking about Rup Sanatan Bhattaraguna, Shri Jiv Gopala Bhattadasa Raguna. These 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and Lokanath Goswami, Bhugarbha Goswami. There are thousands of people here with the last name Goswami. The last name Goswami does not make one a true Goswami. We've already heard much about this, but who can control their senses? Only one who is fully absorbed 24 hours a day in serving the transcendental senses of Krishna can actually control their senses. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedānta Swami Prabhupada said that the moment we are not absorbed in Krishna or Krishnamoy, complete absorption in Krishna, that moment Maya will flood that place like a hole in your boat. If you don't have it plugged, if you don't be very careful, if you're not careful to make sure that there are no holes in your boat, even one small pinhole can gradually flood your entire boat and sink it. So, our Srila Gurudev would speak about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada in terms of his pranam mantras. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanvi Devi Daitaya Krabhavde Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryojvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. You see, I caught myself there. It's Apasiddhanta Dvanta.
Make this any quieter.
Oh no.
Did it stop?
No. Radhe Radhe? Yeah, quick.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
Mine is still going.
No.
It's going.
Can you tell Siri to turn off Siri? Hey Siri, turn yourself off.
What?
I'm telling Siri to turn off Siri. She heard something and stopped my...
No, because mine is live.
Okay.
I'm ironing, but it's on.
I don't know how to turn off. You just turn off this volume. That might be helpful. Okay, it's off. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is no ordinary personality. That's what I was speaking about. And I'm coming back to what our Srila Gurudev would speak about, his pranam mantras. Srila Gurudev said about him that he is the maidservant of Srimati Radhika, who is the embodiment of the jewel of her eyes.
Wow.
Nayana Mani Manjari. And he said that Srimati Radhika wanted to see the progress of her devotees in this world. And so, this Nayana Mani, the jewel of her eye, manifested here to see and to oversee, to assist, to help in the progress of the devotees in this world. So I was telling you that at the time when he manifested, it was just at the time of course, Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur, who had prayed for him. He had prayed for a very powerful personality to come and help re-establish the essential teachings of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which had been covered over by a very dark period from the time of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Balari Vidyabhushan Prabhu. So some hundreds of years had elapsed. And it was very, very dark time. In the name of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all kinds of nefarious activities were being committed, with all kinds of excuses being made. And we even see that kind of thing happening today. Someone will say something, make an excuse, twist it, turn it into something else. And when you look at it, and then you look at the teachings of our Guru Varga, our Guru Parampara, you realize this has nothing to do with that. It's very easy to twist and manipulate. And there are people who are expert at it. Very expert. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada manifested at such a time on the incessant call of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just like Advaita Acharya was begging for the appearance of Krishna in this world. What was he doing? He was worshipping Shalagram, Shila, with Ganga Jal, Ganges water and Tulsi leaves, weeping and roaring, because Advaita Acharya himself is Mahavishnu. Easily he could have given the Yuga Dharma, but he saw the dilapidated state, the very, very sinful state of people of this world. Even within Bharatvarsh, within India, there was so much degradation. He was feeling that we need something more. I need something more powerful. If the Supreme Lord himself does not come, then I will just finish everything, this entire world. There's no reason for it to exist. Narottama Das na gelo Maria. Why am I even existing? If one is only cycling through samsara, what is the purpose? This world gives us an opportunity to endeavor for perfection, to make that, but otherwise it's considered purposeless. If you read the bhajan Udilo Arana Purava Bhage, there it says, what are you doing? What are you doing with your valuable time? Day and night, just wasting it. For what purpose? Everything will go in vain. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada came at such a time on the call of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just like Krishna himself came in the form of Mahaprabhu for Advaita Acharya, who was roaring so loudly, it is said that the throne of Nārāyaṇa in Vaikuntha was shaking. It was because of Advaita Acharya that Mahaprabhu came when he did. Otherwise, he could have come at any time in Kali Yuga, but Advaita Acharya was petitioning, you come now for the benefit of the world. So in the same way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also crying out for a very powerful, empowered personality. Utkale Purushottam is said in Shastra. A very powerful person will manifest in Puri, who will bring all four sampradayas together, the essence of all of it. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur acknowledged that this Bhaktisiddhanta, at that time, Bimal Prasad, very young, the mercy of Bimal Devi, this was that personality who would fulfill these predictions, who would bring the pure teachings of bhakti again. We hear that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is known as Bhakti Bhagirati. Means he re-instigated, re-inaugurated, if you want to call it, the flow of bhakti which had been dammed up, which had been blocked up. Our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja explained that Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave two amazing special gifts. One of them was the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By Bhaktivinoda Thakur's mercy, we have access and knowledge of that particular place, which had been also lost and covered over, incidentally by a Muslim graveyard, as they would do at the time. Anything that was auspicious or holy to any of those within the Sanatana Dharma or Hindu culture, they would desecrate that and take over and make it into something like a graveyard. What was special about Mahaprabhu's birthplace? Only Tulsi would grow there, nothing else. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur had that darshan, of course he brought his son, who was also his disciple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj also confirmed, and Sri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj also confirmed. So this was one great gift of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada himself states that one of the greatest gifts that Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave to this world was a powerful personality who would defeat all kinds of apasiddhanta and who would establish the pure teachings of Krishna Bhakti in this world. If you read the article entitled Thakur Bhakti Vinod, you can find it on BBLM, Bhaktivedānta Memorial Library University, I think, .org, bbLmu.org. There you will find this article by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada entitled Thakur Bhakti Vinod. There he speaks about the glory of the pure devotee and what is the process by which one can understand the pure devotee. Not just by reading their books, but by serving a pure devotee, then you will be able to understand by their mercy the teachings of the pure devotees. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he actually mentioned this, that this was the greatest gift of Bhaktivinoda Thakur to this world, that he has basically called a pure devotee into this world to carry on this mission, this flow of bhakti, bhakti bhagirati. Bhaktivinoda Thakur reinitiated this flow of bhakti, like Bhagirat brought Ganga, Mandakini, from the heavens to this earth by his intense prayers. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur again manifested pure bhakti in this world. Why am I saying pure bhakti? Because there were so many different ideas of bhakti, but they were not pure. Some ideas were so horrific that the name Gaudiya Vaishnava was hated by anyone with a little bit of education. There was no respect whatsoever. It was considered like degraded and degrading. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to work so hard. It's one thing to start something fresh. It's another thing to try to make something that has a polluted name clean again. Teaching old dogs new tricks is a very, very difficult job, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur worked so hard, incessantly, and then left that as his inheritance to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. This is your duty to keep this flowing. Don't become weak in this. Don't give in to any mundane or material temptation. You should live by the mercy of Krishna and preach this very boldly, this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, purely and cleanly, without any compromise whatsoever. This is the order of the Guru of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. We should understand that he does not only have one Guru. His first Guru was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who gave him Harinam and Kurma Mantra and so much instruction on the path of bhakti, and then ordered him to take initiation from Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who is also his Guru. So both are his Gurus. According to our Guru Dev and our Guru Varga, one should not see any pure devotee according to any mundane relationship. This was one of the specific reasons why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada rejected his own brother. One of his brothers, who is also a very prominent personality, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur rejected him because he was looking upon Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as his worldly father, not understanding his true transcendental position. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada didn't appreciate it one bit. How can you look upon this eternal associate to Srimati Radharani as your mundane worldly father? So he had no mundane attachment, no mundane sentiment to anything. He was completely absorbed 24 hours a day in the service of Hari, Guru and Vaishnava. So now I'm going to come to his pranam mantras. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daita. We mentioned it the other day. This is the name that his Guru Maharaj, Srila Gaur Kishore Babaji Maharaj, gave him upon initiation. Varshabhanavi Devi means Srimati Radhika, the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. Daita means the beloved of, or who is intimately near and dear to. So Varshabhanavi Devi Daita Das can be a name for Krishna, who is near and dear to Srimati Radhika. So yes, we acknowledge this. He is the servant of Krishna, who is near and dear to Srimati Radhika. However, our Srila Gurudev said that Daita can also, in this case, refer to who is near and dear, the object of the affection of Srimati Radhika. Who is that? Sri Rupa Manjari. So Varshabhanavi Devi Daita Das can also mean who is the servant of Sri Rupa Manjari. Now Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada has been quoted by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj as saying, at that time they were in Radha Kund, and the devotees were noticing that many people were doing Dandavat Pranam, Dandavat Parikrama of Radha Kund, Shyama Kund, and the devotees were very impressed. Wow, look, they're doing Dandavat Parikrama. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada acknowledged, yes, it's very nice, they're doing this Dandavat Parikrama, but their mood is different from ours. Most are coming here because they are even praying to Radhika for the mercy of Krishna. They're doing Dandavat Parikrama of Radha Kund to attain Krishna. Their speciality is Krishna. He said, but our mood is exactly the opposite. He said, the only reason we have anything to do with Krishna, this is from Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, having heard it directly from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. The only reason we have anything to do with Krishna is because of his connection with Srimati Radhika. Amazing that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is telling this. Who is he? What is his mood? It is the same as all of our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga. He is a true Rupanuga in every sense. We will get to that after some time. So Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daita Das, who is near and dear to Sri Rupa. This also is proven by that katha that he gave, what he spoke in that time. Of course, always glorifying Krishna, but our leaning is towards Srimati Radhika. And through her, we have some connection to Krishna, but not directly. In Vrindavan, as I told before, so many say Radhe Radhe Shyam Milade or Shyam Se Milade. Our Srila Gurudev said, never, never, and never, we do not say this. Why? That means you're ordering the Queen of Vrindavan, the Queen of your heart, your Swamini, Srimati Radhika. Everyone here knows she's in charge of Vrindavan. Everyone, every shopwala, everyone here knows. But so many of the Pandits, they come through and they tell everyone, chant Radhe Radhe Shyami Radhe. Ordering Srimati Radhika, arrange my meeting with your Shyam, with Krishna. This is directly opposed to the moods of the true Rupanugas. Rupanugas are always saying, no, I don't want this direct meaning. I don't want this lesser thing. Service to Srimati Radhika is their everything. And by serving Radhika, then they're serving Krishna. They don't need to directly go that way. Sakyayate mama namostu nityam dasyayate mama rasostu satyam. Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī prays. Again and again I am offering pranam to your position as a Sakhi, to the position as one of your friends, like Lalita Vishaka Chitra Champakalata, Rangadevi Sudevi Induleka Tunga Vidya, and who did I miss? Champakalata. So many. These are the gopis. Like Srimati Radhika, of course, she is the crest jewel, crown jewel of all of the gopis. Again and again, I'm offering pranam to this position as one of your sakhis. But I have no taste for anything. The only taste I have is Dasyayate mamarasostu rasostu satyam. This is the only nectar that I can derive is by approaching you as a dasi. Radha dasyam is our everything. And for us, through the medium of Sri Rupa. So, Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabhaye. There, Gurudev said he is an ocean of mercy. Ocean of mercy doesn't just mean externally nice and kind. We have heard that there are two kinds. Sometimes as hard as a thunderbolt, sometimes as soft as a rose. He could not fathom the idea of sending someone away from the path of bhakti. In fact, and here's you're going to hear thunderbolt and rose at the same time. So many very young men. Our Param Gurudev, Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Mahārāja joined him when he was 16. So he was 16, 17, 18, like this. So many of these young men, they became attracted to the teachings and the qualities of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, the purity, the conviction, and they surrendered their everything at his lotus feet. Of course, the parents of these young men required them at home. For what? Well, you have to get married, you have to have children, you need a family so that they will take care of us when we're old. Who's going to look after the house and the properties and the farms and the this and the that? We need you. We can't live without you. This was their mood. So they would come to the mutt crying. This is the temples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, crying to him, please, please, give us our children back. Give me my son back. Weeping and crying. And he would say, I don't know where they are. I don't know where they are. But when I see them, I'll let them know that you came for them. And then those parents would leave, weeping and crying. And then those young men would come out from under the bed of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. In India, they have beds that are on 4 legs and there's some room underneath. They would come out from underneath. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would say, those were not your parents crying for you. That was Maya crying for you. It's very heavy. But for them, for those persons, it was the greatest affection. So soft, so loving, and so caring. Maya is coming crying, don't leave my lap. Don't leave me. I have been with you since forever. You are my baby. You belong to me. Don't leave me. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is sending that Maya away. Because that Maya's intention is to stop the forward progress of bhakti for these people who are actually attracted to wanting to love and serve Krishna and who are giving that Maya up, the illusion of this material world. So harsh as a thunderbolt to them.
Kishori?
Yes?
Also how he wept for Param Gurudev when he saw him in the sun.
Yes. Harsh as a thunderbolt to them, but so soft to those, you say those baby disciples. They were young men, but so soft to them, not wanting to let them go back out into that very fearsome place of being captured by the material energy and swallowed by that material energy. As Sudevi read, I will not leave 1 penny for you, he wrote, or he spoke in the very end before he departed from this world. You are my dearest friends. I will not leave anything material for you in this world so that you can become lazy, so that you can become complacent and forget about serving the Lord and instead serve your own senses and the senses of people of this world. You are my dearest friends. So instead of giving them that push, he would keep them, he would hide them, and then give them transcendental instruction. Once upon a time, on the weeping request of our Param Gurudev's mother, She said, please send my son home. He said, when I see him, I'll tell him. And he told him, you should go home. Your mother's calling for you. Our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Gosvāmī Mahārāja did not follow the order of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. He remained hiding in the mutt somewhere. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada called for him. Why didn't you follow my order? I told you to go home to your mother. And he said, my mother, she's about ready to depart from this world. If at that time she asks me or orders me to do anything, I'm bound to follow. He said, after millions and millions of lives, finally I have come to the lotus feet of Sri Guru. I've had millions of mothers and millions of fathers, millions and billions. Finally I've come to the lotus feet of Sri Guru. And the opportunity for me to end my samsara and to develop pure love and devotion for Krishna is present before me. How can I go? How can I leave your lotus feet? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was so pleased. It was a test. It was a test. And our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Gosvāmī Mahārāja, at that time, Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, passed that test with flying colors. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was so affectionately inclined toward his disciples. We hear this about our Param Gurudev also. Acharya Keshari, he's just like his guru. He's also Acharya Keshari, lion-like. Srila Gurudev would explain, what is lion-like? How is a lion to the enemy? So fierce, heavily attacking, smashing, cutting, ripping apart. But for its own babies and cubs, so gentle, so soft, so kind, so nurturing. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada has also been called Lion Guru, or the lion-like Acharya, Singha Guru. So powerful and so strong, and yet so soft. It is said that once he actually would send his disciples out to collect for the mutt. They would collect for the temple. But he didn't want them to have the mood of pride. That by my collection, everything is manifesting. I can collect more than anyone else. So instead of sending them out like this with a bag that you can collect.
It was also that everyone would be able to give something. No one could say, I don't, both.
So instead of begging for thousands of rupees, at that time, the rupees were worth a lot more. We have one silver rupee from that time. I think it has King George of England on it. It was made of pure silver, a rupee. Now rupee is like 73 to the US dollar, 89 to the euro, and 90 something to the pound. But at that time, it was worth quite a lot of money. And before that, it was not rupees, it was rubies. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, recognizing and teaching his disciples not to have proud and egotism, how to teach them Trinarapi Sunichena, that they should follow the order of Guru, but they should do their duty without attachment, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Do your duty. What is the duty of the disciple? To always follow the order of Gurudev as it is. And also to give benefit to all other jivas, so that no one can make an excuse, oh, I don't have anything, I can't give anything. Okay, let's give you all an equal opportunity to make some bhakti sukriti by donating to the cause of this mission, which is to disseminate the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna all over the world. So he sent them out with little wooden boxes, with only one little slot on top, enough to put, what was it? 1 paisa.
Yeah, 1 paisa.
1 paisa at that time, it's 100th of a rupee, it's like 1 cent. It was still worth something, more than it is now for sure. So they would go out, even in the hot Calcutta summer sun, for hours and hours a day. They would go out, and they would collect like this, 1 paisa from each person. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada knew we're not dependent on this kind of collection. Why? Shraddha Shabdi Vishwash Kohi Sudrida Nishtoy Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. By completely surrendering to Krishna, by following the process of bhakti, automatically all one's obligations are taken care of. There's nothing that they need to do. Krishna will protect and maintain. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati vishvasya goptritve varanam tata. Faith, Shraddha, is defined by the symptoms of surrender. And in there it says, Krishna is my only maintainer. Goptritve varanam tata. And Krishna promises in Bhagavad Gita, for one who has surrendered exclusively unto me, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So it wasn't for that purpose that I need money so everyone should go out and collect and then we will have enough. But to teach them, to give them some sadhana without attachment. So he would send them out and they would go and collect. And this was part of their service on the order of their guru. One day, he happened to be coming by in his, I would say his car, but in a car. And he saw Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, that is our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, at that time, a very young man. He had been collecting in the hot sun of the summer of Kolkata. And he was lying under a tree with his head on that wooden box. At that time, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, seeing this young boy who had come from an extremely wealthy family, like millionaires, billionaires even, very big land-owning family. The land was big. I don't know about the family. But they owned so much property, so many houses, they would rent those properties out. Coming from such wealth and such a highly esteemed position, now he's lying on the street with his head on a wooden box after being exhausted from endeavoring to serve his Gurudev by collecting 1 paisa from each person. Tears came to the eyes of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada in appreciation for this kind of dedication. I remember how our Gurudev would look at all of us from the West when we would come to Parikrama and we would live in very meager situations and walk barefoot. He would look at the local devotees and he would say, you know, you're from India, you're used to all of this. This is what you normally do. You normally walk around barefoot and, you know, you deal with the cold water. But they've come from palaces. They've come from wealth. They have come from situations where everything is soft and cushioned and comfortable. And now they are walking barefoot, coming to all of these places. For what? On my word, they're doing that. And Gurudev's heart would melt to see how so many were undergoing austerities to please Gurudev. For what purpose? To accept his vow, his promise that if you do this, I will take you to Krishna. Come with me. So Gurudev appreciated it. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada appreciated so much. He was so affectionately inclined, so soft and gentle to his disciples. But if anyone anywhere were to go against the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, against the teachings of our Goswamis, against the teachings of pure bhakti, and bring about any twisted, any manipulated, or any impure conception, he would smash it, completely pulverize it. Everyone was afraid of him. You know, like Nimai Pandit, when he was young, he was so expert. Anyone who would come, he would argue with them, with logic, nyaya, this and that, with so many different kinds of logic. And then, even if they accepted what he said, then he would throw another logic in there and undo what he just said and make the person who agreed wrong by that. So he was so expert. And then he would make it right again. So some people would actually go to the other side of the road to avoid getting into those conversations with him because he was quite brilliant with that. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada also, likewise, was so powerful and brilliant. So brilliant. No one could stand up to him in any logical debate. He was well versed in every very different kind of thought process. Like Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur, he also had studied and read the Quran, he had studied and read the Bible, he had studied and read so many different scriptures, so many different faiths. He was well versed in all of it. If you read Sri Krishna Samhita, you can understand how well versed he was in it. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was likewise also well versed in all of these different scriptures and all different processes of thought, all kinds of knowledge. And he was able to establish pure bhakti as the supermost, pure, clean, transcendental truth. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would not accept any kind of mundane moralistic idea or agenda. Once it is said that he had a conversation with Subhash Chandra Bose. At that time he was leading the military, his own military battles against the, I'm going to use the word British invasion of India. At the time that Gandhi was doing his non-violence movement, Subhash Chandra Bose and also many other different groups were also fighting physically to remove the British from India. So he came to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. There's a conversation that's recorded. I believe it's in that big Prabhupada book. Is it there?
Yes, it's here.
It's in that big Prabhupada book, that conversation with Subhash Chandra Bose?
I think so, yes. Do you want me to get it?
No.
Oh,
I was just asking if that's where we can find it.
yes, I believe it's there. You don't want me to get it?
No. So in there, he came to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. What are you doing? You're taking the cream of the crop of society. All of the best of the most intelligent young persons are coming to you. They're giving up all of their material life. They're giving up all of their feeling of nationality and all of like that, and they're joining your mission. But we need these young, intelligent people to help lead the rebellion against England. We need young and intelligent persons to be generals in this fight so that we can have our freedom. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, do you accept Bhagavad Gita? Subhash Chandra Bose said, of course I do. It's our national Hindu scripture, of course I do. Do you know what Krishna says in there? Yang yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajantyante kalevaram tantamevaiti kanteya sadattad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one is in when they quit their body, whatever state of consciousness, absorption, certainly they will attain that. You accept this? Yes, of course. It's there in Gita, Krishna spoke it. So as you are fighting the British, at that time you will be completely absorbed in anger, fighting against them. Then what will the destination be? As you are absorbing your mind in them and fighting against them, whether it is positive or negative, in that absorption, you will become that. And as they are fighting against you with their anger and absorption, they will become that. This is samsara. Flipping back and forth. Back and forth. So all of your warriors are going to go and become the British. And they're going to become your warriors. And then they're going to keep fighting back and forth. Cycling back and forth. He said, I have not come to free a few people or even one nation of this world. I have come to liberate every jiva of this universe. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was so clear and so powerful. Subhash Chandra Bose said, I've never heard anything like this. No one has ever spoken like this before to me. But it made perfect sense to him. But still he continued with his revolutionary activities. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada continued with his transcendental revolutionary activities. So, what is Kripabdaye? Kripabdhaye means an ocean of mercy. It means also telling the truth. If I were to desist from speaking the truth due to fear that others may become displeased, then I myself would become a supporter, an endorser of the untruth. In other words, an atheist. I would become completely bereft of devotion and would be cast into, let me just read the quote exactly directly so I don't mistranslate it. It's his Upadeshavali number 17. If I were to desist from lecturing about the absolute truth due to being fearful that some listeners may be displeased, I would be deviating from the path of Vedic truth and accepting the path of untruth. I would become one who is inimical to the Vedas, an atheist, and would no longer possess faith in Bhagavan, the very embodiment of truth. So to speak the truth, always and everywhere, even at the risk of his own life, which many times it was put at risk from one perspective, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada always spoke the truth. And so many were against him for it. But anyhow, he said, even if all of the Baddha Jivas, the bound, conditioned souls in all of the universes, in one voice, shouted at me the untruth, I would stand alone in the face of all of them and loudly proclaim the truth. We've mentioned this many times. When one or two persons are against you, it pinches. When you've got 10 people against you, it starts to hurt a little bit. 100, you start to shake at the knees and start to cower. 1,000, could you even handle it? So many against you, yelling at you, you're wrong, you're wrong. Then you start switching, starts changing over. But he said, even if all of the jivas and all of the universes, all of the conditioned souls shouted at me the untruth in one voice, I would stand in the face of all of them and loudly proclaim the truth. Now this seems to be not merciful or not kind, but really it is merciful, because only the truth is actually merciful. The real truth. Krishna Bhakti. Jiver Surupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. We are all eternal servants of Krishna. Pointing in any other direction away from the service of Krishna, what does Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada consider it? There's two kinds of violence to the jivas. Jiva hingsa. Not killing someone, not hurting someone's feelings, not stealing from them, not maiming them. These are not considered jiva hingsa. That's body and mind hingsa, violence. What is violence to the jivas? Two kinds. One, with intent, encouraging someone to go to the path of material enjoyment, away from Krishna Bhakti. Oh yeah, you should do that, it's good. Someone actually told me recently that there was someone who was advising a devotee, advising them, maybe you should go out in the material world and experience some of that. Maybe it'll be good for you. When have our acharyas ever suggested or said such a thing? For someone to suggest such a thing, this is violence to that jiva, because that can bind them in samsara for God knows how long. And there's another kind of violence to the jiva which many of us are actually guilty of. Violence to a jiva. If you know about the cure for every disease, you know the cure for corona, you know the cure for, I'm talking about every flu that ever was, you know the cure for cancer, for diabetes, for heart disease, for brain tumors, for whatever. You have the cure for everything. Every ailment, mental, physical, everything. And you see that all around you, everyone is suffering and dying with all of these ailments. And yet, we are silent. We don't say anything. We don't endeavor to help others. This is also violence to the jiva. Violence to that jiva. We are literally watching them jump off a cliff without saying, hey, be careful. Backing off a cliff without saying something. Oh, yeah, he's just re-entering into samsara for the next 10 trillion lifetimes. That's violent. Imagine that. If we were in such a situation where we didn't realize it and we're backing off a cliff, walking backwards, maybe flying a kite, and someone saw us there, they just watched, well, it's none of my business to say anything. Well, I guess they had it coming to them.
It's their karma.
Or it's their karma. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you say something? Then that person has responsibility. They have failed to do a very simple duty. Jive doya. Give mercy to those jivas. So Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupada was encouraging all. Every selfless welfare worker of Gaudiya Math should be willing and ready to expend a minimum of 200 gallons of their own blood for the spiritual welfare and benefit of each individual jiva of this world. That means how much hard labor is involved in even bringing one person to the path of bhakti and pushing them forward toward the service of Krishna. How much hard work. Srila Gaura Govinda Goswami Mahārāja says you cannot imagine how much hard labor it takes to bring even one. He said you cannot conceive of the shock which comes to Guru, the pain which comes to your Guru when you turn around and walk the other way and go back into the material world, rejecting all of that hard, intense endeavor that Guru has given. He said you cannot imagine the shock. Our Gurudev said that Guru is more than millions of mothers of this world. So imagine, many of you are mothers or fathers. We've all been mothers before, but anyhow, for those who are mothers now, you can definitely appreciate the affection and the attachment that you have for your children. Everything you've given, and they just reject and walk away into danger. Exactly what you've warned them, be careful, this is going to hurt you or kill you. And they just reject you and go and do it anyway. The pain that comes in the heart of that mother, multiply that by millions of times. The shock which comes to Guru when they see, oh, look, I've given so much help. So he was always encouraging everyone to follow Mahaprabhu's teaching. You should do the greatest welfare work. The greatest welfare work is to give Krishna. Bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, koro Krishna shiksha. Jive doya. Give mercy to the jivas by giving them Krishna. And sometimes it doesn't work very well if you just give it gently or softly. You know, it would be good if you could, chant a little bit of Hare Krishna. It might be nice for you sometimes. Or the urgency. The urgency. Srila Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupada explained, what is a sadhu? Sadhu, our Gurudev said, sadhu comes from the root sat. One who is in touch with transcendence 24 hours a day. Sadhu is that person who stands at the sacrificial altar with the upraised sword of transcendental knowledge, ready to sever the heads of the sacrificial goats representing all of our anarthas. Means sever the heads of our anarthas. Those things which are binding us to this material world since time without beginning. Sadhu is that person. He said, how does he do it? In the form of strong language. Strong language. Heavy, harsh. Why? Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj said, We are so dense that even the thunderbolt of Indra smashing us many times won't wake us up. He said, you're required to be hit by that many, many times. That is the harsh words, the strong, loud words of Gurudev. Of course, we must voluntarily place ourselves in that position where the discipline is inflicted upon us for our own well-being. Why? Because we are intoxicated with this material world. We are addicted to every drug of this material world. All of our senses enjoying and binding us here. This is my place of enjoyment. I am the enjoyer. I am the enjoyer. We place ourselves into that rehab, the rehabilitation center of Sri Guru, and it is required that heavy, strong language needs to break through to awaken us to our true nature of loving service to Krishna in the form of strong language. So this is the function, the duty of... No. Tattainukampam susamikshamaaro bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridva... What?
Just wait a second. They're coming back. They have to refresh.
Oh.
So...
It's okay, I wanted to chant the verse 3 times.
Alright, more than half the devotees kind of got lost for a moment. Okay, it's better.
Okay. So, he was preaching this verse, and he had his disciples preaching this. Tattainukampam susamikshamaaro bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridbhagva purbir vidadan namaste jidete yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. This is a prayer offered by Lord Brahma to Krishna. After Brahma had stolen the calves and the cowherd boys, and then Krishna manifested himself as all of the calves and cowherd boys, and Brahma was completely confused and then realized, oh my God, that is Bhagavan himself. What great aparadh have I done? And then he began offering prayers. In these prayers, Tattainukampam is there. For that person who accepts that whatever is coming to them, good or bad, is the result of their own karma. Or seeing it as the mercy of the Lord. As one is progressing on the path of bhakti, instead of seeing this is my karma, they will see this is the mercy of the Lord. Bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridbhagva purbir vidadan namaste. So, who earnestly, understanding that, accepting it, yes, this is due to me according to my karma, but who keeps their focus, their mind, their body, their words, their everything. Hrid, heart, bhag, words, vapurbir, body. Vidadan namaste, offering all of that in the lotus feet of the Lord. Jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. For that person, they have already crossed the line of liberation. They've already passed that. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was preaching this truth very, very strongly. He didn't compromise. And because of this, people don't like it. People like their enjoyment, they like their suffering, they like their comfort zone. And when someone is speaking spiritual truth, it creates difficulty, as we've seen also in the life of Lord Jesus Christ. He was also preaching truth, cutting all kinds of nonsense in the name of religion, and they hated him for it and literally, physically nailed him to the cross for preaching the truth boldly and strongly. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada never deviated from the truth, and he required all of those who were his disciples to also hold tightly to the path of truth. So what is real mercy? Real mercy is giving Krishna. This is Jive Doya. So Kripadaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine. What was he giving? He was giving our relationship. He was awakening our relationship with Krishna. This is Krishna Sambandha. This is the mercy of Sri Guru. Divya Gyan Hride Prakashita. He manifests or awakens within our heart Divya Gyan. Divyam Jnanam Kshapayati iti Diksha. That means transcendental knowledge of what? Who am I? Who is my eternal beloved Lord? And what is the nature of our relationship together? This is Divyam Jnanam. And by that, automatically all Kshapayati, all anarthas, all things which are binding us in this world, this is eradicated by the mercy of Gurudev. So, Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namah. What kind of Krishna Sambandha? Yes, we have connection to Krishna. What kind of connection? Jai Jai Radha Krishna Jugala Milan. Serving the servants of Radha Krishna in the Nikunjas of Vrindavan. What Rupa Goswami came to give, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada came to give, his disciples came to give. Our Srila Prabhupada, our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, so many stalwart disciples, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, they came to give that. Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye. He is the Murti, the form of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namaste Gauravani Shri Murti. We've already spoken previously about what Gauravani is. It is the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What he spoke to, or what was revealed in the conversation between him and Rai Ramananda, what is revealed in the conversations between Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Gosvāmī, what is revealed in all of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Gauravani, specifically condensed into Dashmula Tattva of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or in this one condensed verse by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. Jiva Pavan Prabhu, can you please post that verse with its translation? Because I'm not going to give a lofty explanation of it. I'll just do it really quickly. Ramyaka Chiripasana Vrajavadu Vargena Yakalpita Śrīmad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tatradaro Naparaha. This is the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there is nothing beyond it. What is that? The supreme topmost worshipful form of God, of Bhagavan, is Brajesha Tanaya, the son of Nanda Mahārāja Krishna in Vrindavan, or the dearmost of Srimati Radhika, Radha Kanta, Vrindavaneshwari, Vrindavaneshwari's beloved. Srimati Radhika's beloved. This is the supreme topmost. That method, or that form by which Krishna is pleased the most, is by those personalities who give the most of themselves. Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargena Yakalpita. The young married gopis of Vrindavan. They gave up everything for the service and pleasure of Krishna. This is Parakya Bhav. And by this, Krishna says in response, Napareyeham Niravadya Samyujam, I am unable to repay you for your love and affection. This is proven where? Wait, I missed one. Tadhama Vrindavanam. The topmost place is Vrindavan. Why? Because that is where the most intimate pastimes of Krishna happen with his beloved devotees. His most concealed, private, beautiful and sweet Madhurya pastimes. And then Śrīmad Bhagavatam is the Shastra which proves this. This is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literature. Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. And Prema Pumarto Mahan. The topmost goal, the topmost attainment is Prem. What kind of Prem? Braja Prem. In the wake of the moods of the Brajvasis, especially that of Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Rupa Manjari. In fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada states in his Upadeshavali, the foot dust of Sri Rupa Goswami, the fulfiller of Sri Chaitanya Dev's inner desires, is our lives' sole desired object. So here, he's referencing, this is one of his last instructions. He's referencing Sri Narottam Das Thakur, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada Semora Sampada. This desperate mood. This is the sole desired object of our lives. The foot dust of Sri Rupa. Sri Rupa Manjari Pada Semor Sampada. Semor Bhajana Pujan. Our everything. So this is showing who Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada really is. It's getting late already, and I feel like I've barely started. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he is the embodiment of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what does that mean also? If he's the embodiment of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, well, who was that personality who fulfilled the innermost desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Rupa Gosvāmī. He gave to this world what Mahaprabhu wanted to give. So then, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is like a non-different manifestation of Sri Rupa Gosvāmī. He spoke this himself, that one should see their Guru in such a light, in such a way. They will see that they are non-different from Sri Rupa, and ultimately non-different manifestation of Srimati Radhika. Of course, there's speciality, but we should understand that those eternal manifestations of Srimati Radhika are also non-different from herself. Her moods of love and affection have manifested in forms. And those forms are loving and serving Krishna, but they're part of her. They're not separate. Oh, look at that. We've got a couple posts here. Yeah, I'm giving away all my burpees from Taruni. I had too many stacked up, so I'm sharing them with you. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, I kind of want to tell what he was telling near the very end of his manifest presence in this world, but I think I might save it for tomorrow because there's so much more to tell. So going back to what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was saying and what is real mercy. What is real mercy? I'm going back to Kripabdaya because I just saw this here. Helping to draw conditioned souls away from their perverted attachment to the material energy is the greatest compassion. If even one soul is rescued from Mahamaya's fortress, that compassionate act is infinitely more benevolent than the construction of unlimited hospitals. Now, for anyone who's just a normal philanthropist, who likes to do good and help others and give in charity and like that, this statement is practically impossible to understand. Because the faith that is required in the holy names is lacking. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said that they don't understand that by even one namabhas, one shadow or reflection of the name, and it is no joke, he said. It is not an underestimation or an over-exaggeration. Sorry, an overestimation or over-exaggeration. One namabhas can feed millions and can remove thousands and millions of the greatest global disasters. One namabhas. What to speak of one Shuddhanam? What kind of powerful faith did he have in the holy names of Krishna? What kind of powerful faith? So we might look at it from one perspective. Yeah, but you build one hospital, you can help so many people. What are we helping them to do? If we do not help them to awaken their eternal relationship with Krishna, we're only helping them to remain within this world of samsara. Birth, disease, old age, and death. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshana darshanam. So how is that real compassion? How is it real compassion? If somehow you have a clinic or a hospital or something, and you're also sharing with those persons something about Krishna, attract them by that means and give them the injection of Krishna consciousness, then that's fine. And we've seen our Guru Varga do this. But helping to rescue even one soul from the fortress of Mahamaya is infinitely more benevolent than the construction of unlimited hospitals. So this is real mercy. Somehow or other, bringing the jivas away from their eternal bondage in Maya, nitya baddha, to their eternal service of Krishna, transcendental loving service of Krishna. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada requested, wanted that we will all perform Hari Kirtan constantly, in every situation, no matter what, that we would not forget our purpose, that we would not take shelter of the material energy and absorb our minds and ourselves in trying to enjoy this material world. Atmendriya pritibhancha taribalekam. It is all lust, only trying to please the transcendental senses of Krishna. This will awaken prem. Krishnendriya priti icha dhare premanam. So we will continue tomorrow. There's so much more to speak on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. I'm realizing that actually it can probably be done every day for a year, if not many years. So we're going to stop here today. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Thank you all very much for giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga, and especially on this day, again, to remember the glories and the teachings, the power and the softness of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Also, we feel extremely indebted to each and every one of you for the beautiful gift that you're giving us of mercy to these jivas by encouraging us on a daily basis and giving us the opportunity to follow the order of our Gurudev, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Don't turn it off yet. Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai. Sachinandan Gaura Hari ki jai. The peacock feather on Krishna.
Both.
Both of them.
It's one.
They were recently gifted by Radhika Didi and Siddhanta Prabhu, who just came to Vrindavan recently, and so this is the first time he's wearing that amazing feather. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.